Suite. So nice to see you all. Today's show, thankfully, is all about music. I love music. Who doesn't? Did any of you all watch this year's Grammys? I did too. You know, as hard as it is to actually get a ticket to the Grammys, the only ticket that is tougher is the one to the pre-Grammy party hosted every year by legendary music man Clive Davis. But this year, we were given unprecedented exclusive access to the Beverly Hills Bash, where nearly everywhere you look, there was a famous face. Why was Clive so willing to open his doors? Well, he's opening up about just about everything in a long-awaited memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life. He's been the driving force behind some of the best songs and the brightest stars of the last 5 decades. That's right, 50 years of music making. No wonder everyone calls him the man with the golden ears. What does this song, this song, and this song have in common? There was one mastermind behind each of them.
Clive Davis.
Clive Davis.
Clive Davis.
Clive Davis knows a hit when he hears one, and a star when he sees one. In his more than 50 years as a renowned record man, running 8 different labels, he's launched the careers of Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen.
You really changed the course of my whole life.
Billy Joel, Aerosmith,
Thank you, Clive.
Alicia Keys, and the late Whitney Houston. He also orchestrated triumphant revivals for aging artists like Santana, Aretha Franklin, and Rod Stewart.
And the way you look tonight.
And while he may have been the executive who guided the debut albums for the very first American Idol, the reality show that best describes the career of Clive Davis is Survivor.
I must say how lucky I've been to have found music as a profession.
Perhaps the only thing that boasts more A-list stars than Davis's resume is the guest list at his annual pre-Grammy gala. But this year, we're crashing the party.
Look at this, it's so insane.
Jordin Sparks was just 17 when she became American Idol's youngest winner ever in 2007. Now she's a platinum-selling recording artist with an invite, and we're her +1.
Oh my gosh, Katie, do you hear this? I have your exclusive all-access pass into the Clive Davis legendary Grammy party. No cameras have ever been there before. One word to describe Clive Davis. Legend. A legend.
Genius.
Generous.
Iconic. A king.
Ultra professional. I know that's not one word.
Can I have a few more words? I heard what connects you and Clive is ping pong. Can you tell me about that?
Oh my God, do you know that Clive Davis is the best ping pong player in the world?
Really?
I'm not kidding. So I like playing ping pong. And someone said, oh, Clive likes ping pong too. So he shows up and he's got on like a suit, he's got his little like sweater vest on. And I thought like, hey, before we listen to mixes, you want to play some ping pong? He's like, well, why? Sure, why not? And he kicked my ass at ping pong. Oh yeah, and I was trying too.
It's an amazing night to be here and think of all the people who Clive has affected, and I hope that I can just pass that on.
The leather and all of this going on. You look beautiful. You look amazing. Didn't you look good? Look at Katy Perry. We're seeing her through the window in lovely pearls. I think she's got pearls all over her dress. She looks incredible. I have to ask you about Clive Davis. What do you think of when you hear his name?
Legendary.
Yes.
Something that you wish to be in life. My man is he's still kicking and doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
He hasn't stopped. So
He's the OG.
Yeah,
for
it's like
sure.
he's planted so many seeds, put so many things in so many people's minds to become great. That's a good person.
Do you come to this event every year?
Pretty much, yes. Clive is one of the last great music guys, and he's one of the guys I really respect because back in the days when record companies were real record companies, real record companies, those guys would be in the studio at 3 in the morning talking about lyrics.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good.
So good to see you. So last year, obviously, it was really, really crazy.
It was shocking and surreal, and just a strange time to hear that Whitney was passed away. For it to have happened on the weekend that we celebrate music and the music industry, we celebrate Clive and all the work he's done, and us be reminded of it every year. I think that's not a bad thing.
I got to work with Whitney Houston on the last film that she ever did. To work with one of my idols and an icon, the experience changed my life, and I will never forget it.
So here to help us celebrate both Whitney Houston and Clive Davis, here's Jordin Sparks. Special Grammy correspondent. Did you have a good time?
It was so fun, and it was really nice being on the other side of the microphone for once.
Were you starstruck, or was there anybody there who really intimidated you?
Alice Cooper actually was one of the first people that I ever did anything with. I was a part of his Alice Cooper's The Proof is in the Pudding Christmas concert when I was 14. Like,
really?
So it was just really cool to be able to see him. He also lives in Phoenix, and seeing Katy Perry through the window, I really wanted to talk to her. She's so sweet and she's so kind.
Well, tell me about behind the scenes. I know this is a very exclusive party, and so we were really lucky that they actually let our cameras in there. But they do something called strategic seating, where they put interesting people together. Like they put Al Gore with a hip-hop star.
Yeah.
Were you sitting at a good table?
I actually was very surprised. I walked in and I went to my table and we sat down. It was kind of empty when I got there. And then Gary and Pat Houston, they sat down, and then Whitney's agent sat down, and then Brandy and her fiance, and I was like, I'm so excited to be sitting at this table right now. So it was really fun, and it was good to see them again as well, to just be able to say hi and thank you, and that I love them.
At the same time, that must have been hard, because as you know, and as you mentioned last year for this party, that was the day that Whitney Houston passed away. Was her absence really felt?
Every single year, like John said, we're gonna be thinking of her. We're gonna feel her presence when we're there. But it wasn't really a sad feeling. It was more of a, you know, remembering her, remembering that happened, but at the same time, realizing just what a legend she was and how incredible she was.
And of course, today we're celebrating someone who really made Whitney Houston's career, Clive Davis. What do you think of this mega music man and all that he's done?
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, Clive has had his hand in so many artists' success, their song choice, you know, their development, and you can just see from, you know, the charts and the stuff that he's been involved with. He really is the man with the golden ears. Like, he can hear things that somebody else might not be able to hear.
I know you're going to stick around, and when we come back, the legendary Clive Davis on his career and on losing his greatest love of all.
Up next, music legend Clive Davis, his plea to Whitney in her final days.
I was shocked when I saw her. I did literally gasp.
And what he calls losing his biggest love.
What happened to Whitney Houston?
That's next.
People say it's really hard to
It is so beautiful. I remember driving in my car when I was a local news reporter in Miami and thinking that was the greatest thing I had ever heard. Whitney Houston's self-titled debut album went on to sell more than 23 million copies. And who was the man behind the music? Clive Davis. Whitney Houston died last year at 48, just hours before Clive's annual pre-Grammy gala was to begin. And in his new memoir, he writes about what it was like to lose his greatest love of all. Please welcome Mr. Clive Davis. So nice to see you. I know that, Clive, you've written that Whitney Houston's death left you completely shattered. What was it like when you heard the news that day?
It was stunning. It was devastating. And obviously compounded by the fact that we have this enormous party, you know, that she was there for. She came, she was not scheduled to perform.
She was there for the party.
For the party.
And
she
for
loved
you,
it.
really.
And for me. And so that I knew it had to go on. I knew that she would want to go, the music to go on. You know, somehow, with the help of family and friends, we did make sure that it not only went on, but that it celebrated her life.
Tell me about your last conversation. Did you have any inkling she was in so much pain and so much trouble?
Quite to the contrary. I mean, she was full of life, looking forward. I had, as I write in my book, I had discussions with her about cigarette smoking and that it was affecting her voice. And at that meeting, she said to me, you know, I've decided not just to cut back, I will cut it out. I will be ready for August. I so much want to get back to make an album and to be involved with music again. So no, Whitney was full of life just 2 days before.
You heard her sing when she was 19 years old. Of course, you knew her cousin Dionne Warwick. You knew her godmother, Aretha Franklin. But you heard her sing in a club here in New York City on the Upper West Side when she was just 19. She was singing backup for Cissy Houston.
Yes.
Her mom. Did you think to yourself, wow, this girl has got it going on? What did you think when you heard her sing?
I thought exactly what you just said. I thought that this was, first of all, she was doing The Greatest Love of All in the middle of her act. So here, this young 19-year-old girl was singing that song with a fervor, with a passion. It was amazing. I mean, so I knew this was a unique, special talent.
What happened to Whitney Houston, do you think?
Ultimately, there's no question she faced a legal killer in drugs. I don't know if she ever took it as seriously as she should have. The power of drugs gets everybody. And that's what happened to Whitney Houston, tragically.
What role do you think Bobby Brown played in her downfall? I mean, you don't want to point fingers in a tragedy like this, but do you think that relationship contributed to her spiraling out of control?
I don't think that Bobby Brown was the cause either of her usage of drugs, but it clearly was a codependent relationship that really didn't bring out the best in either of them.
In your book, you share several letters you wrote to Whitney over the years. One of them was in 2001 after you saw her appear in Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary concert, and you were alarmed by the way she looked, and you said, "Dearest Whitney, you are now being begged by the same people who know that this problem is bigger than you can deal with alone. I join your mother in pleading with you to face up to the truth now, right now. Our anguish, our fear, our pain is just too much to bear. You must get help for yourself and for your close extended family."
I remember it well, and I was shocked when I saw her. I did literally gasp. I mean, she had lost so much weight. She was almost skeletal that night, and I really feared the worst could happen, and so I wrote that letter to her.
After receiving an invitation to your party this year, Whitney's mom, Cissy, called the gesture, quote, the most obscene thing.
That is a mother's grief, you know, because Whitney died at that hotel, but Whitney's brother was there, her manager, sister-in-law was there, and I had just received from Cissy her book that just came out, just sending her love to me and all the years of my support for her. So all that it meant is that her pain was such, continuing pain was such, that she could not attend a party, even if we were tributing Whitney. But of course it was the polite thing to do. As we invited her brother and her sister-in-law, we invited Cissy, but I understood.
After Whitney Houston died, did you ever wonder, what more could I have done to help her?
I did wonder what more I could have done, because both personally, in person, by letter, I had done everything I could. You feel helpless when someone is in an addiction and is powerless to overcome the problem. And so you just feel distraught because there's no easy panacea. So that what I felt was helplessness, that it had come to this premature tragedy.
When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other amazing artists that you really helped bring to the forefront. People like Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen, Rod Stewart, Alicia Keys, Aerosmith, Billy Joel, the list goes on and on. Unfortunately, no, they're not here, but they are all stars in Clive's musical constellation. When we come back, the stories behind some of his biggest hits and the revelation no one saw coming. That's right after this.
Next, for the first time on TV, Clive opens up about his personal life.
Do you think this is going to shock the music world?
And coming up, mega R&B star, Usher.
He had a huge influence on your career.
Have you ever sat in a Clive meeting?
No. And we're back with the legendary Clive Davis. And Clive, not only were you instrumental in extending the careers of many established artists like Carlos Santana and Rod Stewart, you were also very busy working with some younger artists like Alicia Keys and Kelly Clarkson. In fact, one of those younger artists you worked with sold 44 million records. That's a lot of records. He's here to show his appreciation for all the help you've given him through the years. So do you guys want another hint? Well, he just won a Grammy for this song. He's like, put it some more. You should have seen their faces when you walked out. Usher, welcome. So great to see you. I know, were you surprised, Clive? It was very hard keeping this a secret from Clive. I tell you, your people are very protective, but thank you so much for being here. And I know you changed your flight to get here early today, so thank you, Usher.
Absolutely.
By the way, of course, we should mention that song we just heard was Climax, your 8th Grammy. You're going to have to get some new mantelpieces, right?
Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
Well, 9th.
9th? Oh, I'm sorry. Excusez-moi. So I know that Clive didn't really discover you per se, Usher, because L.A. Reid did, but he had a huge influence on your career. Can you tell us how?
Well, truly being a pioneer, you have to, you know, have an ear. Have an eye, a niche for talent. And I think that Clive has always been not only known, but celebrated for his ability to, you know, introduce new talent as well as introduce individuals or executives who have like interests. And L.A. Reid and Babyface was that. I was the baby of LaFace Records. And from there, I made my connection to Arista. But we have a deeper story. Clive Davis, was the first person to ever give me a label, an opportunity to be, I guess, an executive and kind of give my interpretation through artist, you know.
And in fact, I know that when you were interested in doing more behind-the-scenes stuff and discovering new artists yourself, you would just sit in Clive's office for hours and just observe him and see how he did things. What did you notice?
This is not personal, Clive, but have you ever sat in a Clive meeting?
No.
You have to sit there for hours.
Really? Oh, I get it.
But no, always a pleasure because you learn so much. And it's an opportunity to really see how the magic is created and how it's done. I mean, you really only imagine what goes on behind the veil of entertainment. And being able to see that was just kind of like, you know, fueling my ambition to be an executive and find my way.
But let me say something that we've never had a chance to exchange.
Yeah.
Usher was signed when he was like 14 years old. And in watching him, we promoted the records, but in watching him grow, your natural sense of style, your natural sense of what you wear, how you move, how you grew as a performer, the dance expertise. Truthfully, I would have a number of performers, you know, that were on Arista. I would make them watch your videos. I would make them watch your moves, never to imitate, but to show how a young artist was developing in his own style, with his own moves. You were influenced probably by Michael Jackson, but you were the only one coming up who were incorporating that instinct and that talent into a style of your own. So thank you, because I use you as an instruction guide for my
That's nice.
You know, it's really great that I was inspiration, and you know, luckily none of them were, you know, as big. So, so I didn't get beat out. That's the cool part. But you know, just to kind of give you I guess, a testament of the pay it forward. You know, without that artist development and that ability to understand how to present myself and have an understanding of style, I would not be in the position to be, you know, a coach on The Voice and introduce talent like Justin Bieber and writers like Rico Love, who was my actual first artist,
yes,
who went on to be an incredible writer and also producer. But, you know, without that artist development of Arista LaFace Records, I wouldn't be the mentor that I am today.
And I found out an interesting fact about you, Usher, that your original name...
You've been talking to my mother?
No. No, but your original name was not going to be Usher. What was it going to be?
Oh, man. Well, just recently, it was an incredible night. Clive does a dinner the night before the Grammys every year. And this year, they were paying honor to L.A. Reid. So I kind of gave a story of where I came from, how his music has influenced me, did a little sing. I didn't dance too much, just sing. But there was one thing. When I first signed to LaFace Records, my name was Cha-Cha. Right. I don't think it would have gone as far with Cha-Cha.
I have to say, Usher is a little cooler than Cha-Cha,
cool, yeah.
right?
Usher seemed to be a little bit more unique than Cha-Cha.
Yeah.
But,
good call, Usher. Well, listen, we're so happy you were able to stop by and salute Clive, and we also hope that you have a career as long and fruitful as Clive Davis. I mean, he's 80 years old and he's still discovering new talent. It's pretty amazing.
You know, the one thing that never dies is incredible ears. And the one thing that never gets old in terms of, you know, discovering artists and making legendary artists is having the ears. And he does have them, and I salute him, which is why I wanted to be here. He's always been supportive of me, and I am equally as supportive to you, man. I love you, and thank you.
That's so nice. Thanks, Usher. And I know, by the way, you discovered Justin Bieber on YouTube, and obviously the rest is history. But coming up, we're going to meet a few new online sensations in our first ever Ones to Watch Sing-Off. 3 aspiring stars will have a chance to sing for the Music Man himself. That's right after this.